I'm Lauren Bennett, 32 years old, and I own the Cascade Hotel Group, a chain of luxury hotels that's the heartbeat of Seattle's high society. But to my family, I'm just a dreamer who'd never outshine my sister's Pulitzer or my brother's tech fame. They had no idea I lived in the penthouse of the Cascade, Seattle's most exclusive address, or that I built an empire from nothing. That all changed one stormy March night at a charity gala in my own hotel when my sister, Megan, took the stage and exposed a family secret in front of 300 guests, humiliating me in 3 seconds flat. Stick 'em out. This night rewrote everything. Picture the Cascade's grand ballroom, its glass walls framing Puget Sound under a veil of rain. I'd chosen a sapphire blue gown, custom Dior, elegant but bold, knowing I'd need steel in my spine tonight. My family thought I was stuck in some mid-level hotel job, maybe answering phones for a real boss. They didn't know I transformed a failing property into Seattle's crown jewel, or that every waiter, every concierge answered to me. But as I stood at the ballroom's edge, blending into the crowd, Megan stepped to the microphone, her journalist poise commanding the room. "Tonight," she said, her voice sharp, "I'm revealing a truth about my sister, Lauren. She's not who you think." My heart stopped. Megan held up a document, her eyes glinting with triumph. Lauren paid for my Pulitzer-winning project, a donation to control me, to keep me in her shadow. The crowd gasped, heads turning to find me. My mother, Patricia, stood frozen at the head table, her face pale. My brother Noah avoided my gaze, his tech bro swagger gone. I could have crumbled, but I'd faced worse. Then my security chief, Derek Hayes, appeared at my side, his voice low. "Miss Bennett, you're needed." Megan's words were meant to bury me, but she didn't know the stage she stood on was mine. The secret she twisted, that I'd funded her career out of love, not control, was about to unravel her narrative. And there was more. Noah had leaked whispers to my rival, Apex Hotels, hinting I was hiding something. This gala wasn't just about charity or my father's legacy. It was about reclaiming my truth in a room full of doubters. Have you ever been betrayed by the people who should have lifted you up? This is the story of how I turned their lies into my triumph. Growing up in Bellevue, just east of Seattle, I was the odd duck in the Bennett family. Our modern waterfront home, with its glass walls and annual charity brunches, screamed privilege. My parents, Thomas and Patricia Bennett, ran a successful PR firm, their lives a masterclass in optics. My older sister, Megan, 3 years my senior, was their star. Sharp-witted, destined for journalistic glory. My younger brother, Noah, 2 years my junior, was a tech wonderkind, coding apps by 15. Me, I was the quiet one, sketching hotel designs in my journal while Megan chased scoops and Noah built algorithms in the basement. From childhood, my parents had a script. Megan was the voice of truth, Noah the future of innovation. I didn't fit. At 16, I started a gig planning corporate retreats for local tech firms, earning $200 a pop. It wasn't glamorous, but it fueled my obsession with hospitality. I'd stay up late studying boutique hotels, dreaming of creating spaces that felt like home. "Lauren, why waste time on that?" my mother would ask, catching me with my laptop. "Megan's interning at the Seattle Times. That's real ambition." My father was harsher. "Hotels, you'll be a glorified maid," he said over dinner, his wine glass pausing midair. Noah was kinder in private, saying, "You've got vision, Laure." But around our parents, he'd clam up, basking in their praise for his latest app. Megan never hid her disdain. "You're playing with pipe dreams," she'd sneer when I shared my plans. By high school, I learned to keep my dreams close. The real sting came when I chose hospitality management at the University of Washington. My father's face darkened. "That's not a career, Lauren." Meanwhile, they threw a gala when Megan got into Columbia for journalism and funded Noah's coding boot camp in Silicon Valley. College was a grind. My parents paid Megan's tuition and Noah's startup costs, but I worked 3 jobs. Mornings at a Belltown hotel, afternoons in class, nights bartending in Pioneer Square. I'd crash at 1 a.m., up again at 5. Those years forged me, teaching me the pulse of hospitality, how to read a guest's mood, how to turn chaos into calm. Junior year, I met Dr. Susan Kim, a hospitality professor who saw my spark. "You don't just analyze, Lauren," she said after I pitched a boutique hotel rebrand. "You create worlds." Susan got me an internship at the Pacific Hotel Group, Seattle's hospitality titan. While other interns shuffled papers, I studied their operations, spotting inefficiencies. I wrote a 15-page proposal on boosting guest retention, left it on the desk of VP Elena Torres by mistake. I braced for a firing. Instead, she called me in. "This is sharper than my consultant's work," she said, tapping the pages. "You're a manager when you graduate." At 22, I was running point on a multi-million-dollar property, learning to lead. When I called home, my mother said, "Well, it's something." My father asked if I'd considered PR as a real job. Megan texted, "Congrats, I guess. Don't expect to make my kind of money." Noah didn't reply, too busy pitching his startup. But I'd done more than they knew. When Megan was 25, her investigative project, a deep dive into tech corruption, was about to collapse without funding. I wired $20,000 from my savings earned from my retreat business to her producer, asking to stay anonymous. She won a Pulitzer for it, never knowing I'd saved her dream. By 26, I was managing a Pacific property, cutting costs by 18% and boosting bookings with a loyalty program I designed. At 28, I launched Bennett Hospitality Consulting, reviving struggling hotels. My first client, a Tacoma Inn, went from red to black in 6 months. Then I took the leap, buying the Cascade, a fading gem in Seattle's downtown. I poured my soul into it, redesigning every inch, from the cedar-scented lobby to the rooftop lounge. Within a year, it was Seattle's hottest spot, booked by CEOs and celebrities. By 32, I owned 6 hotels, the Cascade my crown, my penthouse my sanctuary. My family? They thought I was a desk clerk, maybe renting a studio in Capitol Hill. They never asked, and I stopped sharing. My rock was Derek Hayes, my security chief, a former Marine with a sharp mind and sharper loyalty. He knew my story, my scars. As a charity gala loomed, my father's pet project for local schools, I hadn't seen my family in 2 years, dodging their calls with work excuses. When my mother texted about hosting at the Cascade, I nearly laughed. "It's steep," she wrote. "Megan's covering half. Maybe you can chip in for coffee." The assumption I was broke burned, but it also sparked a plan. What I didn't expect was Megan's speech, or that Noah was whispering to Apex Hotels, my rival, about my secrets. The gala wasn't just a chance to reconnect. It was a powder keg, and Megan had just lit the fuse. By 32, I'd built a life that screamed success, even if my family couldn't hear it. The Cascade Hotel Group was my masterpiece, 6 luxury hotels from Seattle to Portland, each a beacon of elegance and ambition. The Cascade itself, my flagship, was a 14-story marvel in downtown Seattle, its glass facade reflecting the city's pulse. Inside, cedar walls and hand-blown chandeliers created a warmth that drew tech mongols and movie stars. I lived in the penthouse, a 2,500-square-foot haven with views of Elliott Bay, where I'd watch ferries glide at dawn, reminding myself how far I'd come. But to my family, I was still Lauren, the kid with silly dreams, not the mogul running a $250 million empire. They didn't know, and I'd stopped trying to tell them. It wasn't always this grand. College at the University of Washington was a gauntlet. I juggled 3 jobs, check-in clerk at a waterfront hotel, student by day, bartender by night, while my parents bankrolled Megan's Columbia degree and Noah's startup. I'd memorized guest preferences between classes, learning hospitality's rhythm. My breakthrough came junior year with Dr. Susan Kim, my professor. She saw my knack for turning chaos into opportunity. "You don't just manage, Lauren," she said after I pitched a turnaround for a failing hotel. "You transform." Susan landed me an internship at the Pacific Hotel Group, a Seattle powerhouse. I treated it like a battlefield, studying their systems, spotting flaws. I wrote a proposal for a guest experience overhaul, left it on VP Elena Torres's desk by accident. I thought I'd be canned. Instead, she hired me. "You think like an owner," she said. At 22, I was a junior manager, learning to navigate budgets and egos. By 26, I ran their flagship, boosting revenue 20% with a personalized booking system I designed. I could have climbed their ladder, but I wanted my own. At 28, I started Bennett Hospitality Consulting, saving hotels on the brink. A Portland property, my first client, went from bankrupt to booked in 8 months. Then came the Cascade, a once iconic hotel bleeding cash. At 29, I bet everything, savings, loans, investors, to buy it. I lived in a studio apartment that year, funneling every dollar into renovations. I handpicked every detail, from the artisanal coffee in the lounge to the rooftop's retractable glass roof. When it reopened, it wasn't just a hotel, it was Seattle's soul. Within 15 months, we were fully booked with a wait list for our suites. 5 more hotels followed, each a faded star I polished to brilliance. But a shadow loomed. Apex Hotels, my rival, was circling, spreading rumors about my shady finances to poach clients. Their CEO, Julian Valls, was a shark, all charm and no mercy. Derek Hayes, my security chief, was tracking their moves, but we lacked proof of their dirty tactics. The pressure was relentless, especially with the new Portland property deal on the line. One wrong move, and Apex could tank it. My personal life took a back seat. I dated sporadically, but my hotels were my heart. Derek, a former Marine with a dry wit, became my confidant, my family in all but name. My staff, chefs, concierge, housekeepers were my tribe, loyal because I treated them like partners. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd built a home at the Cascade that my real family couldn't match. The charity gala, my father's passion project for Seattle schools, was my chance to bridge that gap. I hadn't been home in 2 years, dodging family dinners with vague work excuses. When my mother texted about booking the Cascade, I nearly choked. "It's pricey," she wrote. "Megan's firm is covering half. Maybe you can handle the coat check tip." The assumption I was broke stung, but it also lit a fire. I called Derek. "They're walking into my world and they don't even know it," I said, half amused, half furious. "This is your shot," he replied. "Make it count." Then came the twist. Megan was giving a speech, hinting at a family secret. Derek's intel suggested she'd weaponize my $20,000 donation to her Pulitzer Project, twisting it into something ugly. Worse, Noah was feeding Apex whispers about my hidden deals, unaware they were using him to smear me. The gala wasn't just a family reunion, it was a minefield. I'd funded Megan's dream, propped up Noah's startup with anonymous loans, even sent my parents on a Maui anniversary trip they thought was a client gift. They'd taken it all, never questioning, always assuming I was less. As the gala approached, I felt the weight of every slight, every dismissal. The Cascade was my proof, my truth. Megan's speech, Noah's betrayal, Apex's schemes, they thought they had me cornered, but they didn't know I'd built this empire to outlast their doubts, and I was ready to fight for it. 6 weeks before my father's charity gala, my phone lit up with a group text from my mother, Patricia, that stopped me cold. Planning a gala for Dad's school fundraiser at the Cascade Hotel or maybe Fairmont Olympic. Suggestions? The Cascade. My Cascade. The idea of my family waltzing into my empire, clueless that I owned it, felt like destiny or a setup for disaster. I stood in my penthouse, Seattle's lights sprawling below, and felt a surge of adrenaline. This wasn't just a fundraiser. It was a chance to confront years of being sidelined, but only if I played it smart. I texted back, cool and calculated. Cascade's top tier. Their ballroom's perfect for a gala. My mother's reply was instant. It's outrageously expensive, Lauren. Beyond your means, and frankly, ours. The jab landed, but I'd heard worse. Megan piled on. My outlet's covering half. Lauren, maybe you can chip in for the programs? Programs. They thought I was scraping by, maybe couch surfing, while I was inking deals worth millions. I can check for discounts through work, I offered, keeping it vague. My mother's "don't overreach" was the green light I needed. I called Mia Chen, my general manager at the Cascade. Mia, my family's booking Dad's gala with us. They don't know I'm the owner. Her laugh crackled through the line. That's Oscar-worthy, Lauren. What's the move? I paced my office, the cedar scent grounding me. Give them the grand ballroom, full VIP package, caviar, live quartet, the works. Quote, half the cost. I'll cover the rest, no trace. Treat me like a guest until I signal. Mia paused. Are you sure? This could be your moment to shine. I pictured Megan's smug face. Not yet. Let them dig their hole first. Over the next month, I monitored the planning from afar. My mother called me up repeatedly, stunned by the bargain rate for such a prestigious venue. I had my chef, Elena Vasquez, craft a menu tied to my father's passions: wild salmon, roasted root vegetables, and his beloved Marionberry tart. I ordered a case of 2001 Domaine de la Romani Conti, a wine Dad raved about from a Paris trip. Every detail was a quiet rebellion against their doubts. Then came the bombshell. A week before the gala, Megan texted me, rare for her. You're actually coming to Dad's thing? Mom says you got a discount at the Cascade. How? You're not exactly their VIP. Her tone dripped with skepticism. Vintage Megan. I kept it light. I've got connections in hospitality. She scoffed. Sure, just don't show up in jeans. Oh, and I'm speaking. Big reveal planned. My stomach twisted. Reveal? I pressed. You'll see, she said, signing off. I called Derek Hayes, my security chief. Megan's got something up her sleeve. Dig into it. Derek's intel came fast. Megan was prepping a speech about my $20,000 donation to her Pulitzer Project, framing it as a power play to own her. Worse, Noah had been emailing Apex Hotel's PR team, hinting I was hiding assets. Noah's clueless, Derek said. Apex is using him to smear you. My rival CEO, Julian Voss, was ruthless, and this gala was their chance to strike. The night before, my mother called with updates. We've added guests, the Lynns from Dad's board and the Carters from the foundation. Megan's bringing her editor, very high profile. Her tone shifted. Lauren, with the extra costs, maybe just cover the staff tips. We don't want you stretched thin. I bit my tongue. Got it, Mom. Tips are on me. After hanging up, I poured a glass of Pinot Gris and stared at the bay. Part of me wanted to spill it all. I own the Cascade, Mom. But the strategist in me craved impact. They'd see it in my world on my terms. Derek met me in my office, his marine-honed instincts sharp. Here's the plan, I said. I arrive late, main entrance, like a guest. Keep eyes on Megan and Noah. If Apex reps show, flag them. When it's time, you step in. He grinned. This'll be one for the books, boss. I nodded, but unease gnawed at me. Megan's speech could tarnish my name, and Noah's leaks could cost me the Portland deal. Apex was circling, and my family was their unwitting weapon. The gala was my father's dream, but it was also my battleground. I'd funded Megan's Pulitzer, Noah's startup, my parents' Maui trip, all anonymous, all dismissed. They'd built their lives on my support, yet cast me as the failure. Megan's reveal and Noah's betrayal thought they'd bury me. They didn't know I'd built the Cascade to withstand storms, and I was ready to turn their trap into my triumph. The night of my father's charity gala swept into Seattle like a tempest, the Cascade's glass walls glowing against a rain-soaked sky. I'd planned to slip in late, blending into the crowd to watch my family's assumptions unravel before I dropped the truth. In my sapphire Dior gown, diamonds glinting at my ears, I felt like a general surveying a battlefield. From my penthouse office, I watched security monitors, a glass of sparkling water in hand, as the drama unfolded below. My family arrived early, claiming the space like they owned it. My mother, Patricia, wore her signature pearl gray Armani dress, her eyes scanning the ballroom's chandeliers and cedar paneling with a mix of awe and suspicion. My father, Thomas, looked proud but uneasy, adjusting his cufflinks as he admired the floral arches I designed. Maiden swept in next, her editor trailing, her sleek black gown screaming power. Noah followed, his tech bro vibe clashing with the elegance, his eyes darting nervously. Mia, my GM, greeted them with polished grace, ushering them to the VIP table where champagne and smoked salmon canapes waited. My mother's lips parted on the monitors. She hadn't expected this splendor for their budget deal. Then Megan took the stage, her Pulitzer poise commanding silence. My pulse spiked. Derek texted, "She's about to drop the bomb. Apex reps are here, front row." I caught them on the monitors. Julian Voss himself, Apex's CEO, smirking beside his PR chief. Megan's voice cut through. "Tonight, I expose a family secret. My sister Lauren funded my Pulitzer project, not out of love, but to control me, to keep me small." She waved a bank transfer record, my $20,000 donation, and the crowd murmured, eyes searching for me. I was ready. I took the private elevator, exiting through a side door to approach the main entrance like a guest. The rain stung my face as I circled to the front, the valet nodding discreetly. Inside, the ballroom buzzed, 300 guests whispering about Megan's bombshell. I lingered at the edge, unnoticed, as Megan doubled down. "Lauren's been playing us all, hiding behind fake generosity." My mother's face was stone, my father's confused. Noah stared at his shoes, guilt written all over him. Then Derek appeared, his marine bearing unmistakable. "Miss Bennett," he said, loud enough for nearby guests to turn. "Everything's ready." Megan faltered mid-sentence, her eyes locking onto me. I stepped forward, the crowd parting. "Keep going, Megan," I said, my voice steady. "Tell them the rest." She froze, the document trembling in her hand. My mother stood, her voice sharp. "Lauren, what's this nonsense? Stop embarrassing us." Derek's baritone cut through. "Mrs. Bennett, Miss Megan, you're addressing the owner of the Cascade Hotel Group, who's graciously hosting this gala." The room went silent, forks clattering, Megan's face drained of color. My mother sank into her chair. Noah's jaw dropped. Mia approached, her deference clear. "Ms. Bennett, Chef Elena's menu is perfect, and the 2001 Romane Conti is decanted per your orders." I faced the crowd, heart pounding but voice calm. Megan's right about one thing. I funded her project, not to control her, but because I believed in her. I've supported this family for years. Noah's startup, Mom and Dad's Maui trip, all anonymous because I didn't need credit. But I won't let my love be twisted into lies. Gasps rippled through the room. A guest, a local philanthropist, stood. "Lauren's donations saved our youth program last year. She's no manipulator, she's a hero." Others nodded, their applause swelling, drowning Megan's narrative. Megan stepped off the stage, her editor whispering furiously. My mother's whisper carried. "You own this? Why hide it?" I met her eyes. "Because you never asked, Mom." Noah approached, mumbling, "Lauren, I didn't know." I cut him off. "We'll talk later, Noah. You've got your own secrets." His flinch confirmed Derek's intel. He'd leaked to Apex. Julian Voss stood, clapping slowly, his smirk venomous. "Impressive, Ms. Bennett. We'll be in touch."
His threat hung heavy, but the crowd's support buoyed me. My father rose, his voice shaky. "Lauren, I'm stunned, proud." I nodded, gesturing to the table. "Let's celebrate Dad's cause. We're not done talking, but tonight's for the kids." As the gala resumed, guests raved about the salmon, the wine, my vision. Megan sat silent, her editor gone. Noah fidgeted, avoiding me. My mother's eyes darted, pride wrestling with shame. I slipped to the bar, Derek at my side. "That was a mic drop," he said. I exhaled. Megan's lies backfired, but Apex is circling, and Noah's leak could cost us. The victory was mine, but the war wasn't over. The Cascade was my fortress, and I'd fight to keep it. The Cascade's grand ballroom pulsed with life after my ownership bombshell, its glass walls framing Seattle's rain-streaked skyline. The charity gala for my father's school fundraiser carried on, but the air around our family table crackled with unspoken tension. I stood near the bar, my sapphire gown catching the chandelier light, feeling the weight of 300 pairs of eyes, some admiring, some curious, some, like Apex Hotel's CEO Julian Voss, predatory. My sister, Megan, had tried to bury me with her speech, twisting my $20,000 donation into a scandal, but the crowd's applause for my philanthropy had turned her weapon to dust. Yet the victory felt fragile, with new fault lines splitting my family and threats looming from outside. I rejoined the VIP table, where my father, Thomas, sat, his face a mix of awe and regret. "Lauren, this place, it's yours?" he asked, gesturing to the cedar-lined walls. I nodded. "And 5 others, Dad. I built it all." His eyes softened, a pride I'd never seen before flickering through. My mother, Patricia, was another story. Her pearl gray dress seemed to tighten around her as she forced a smile, her voice low. "You let us believe you were struggling. That's deception, Lauren." Her words stung, but I held her gaze. "I stopped sharing because you stopped listening." Megan sat across from me, her black gown stark against her pale face, her Pulitzer poise shattered. She avoided my eyes, picking at her salmon, her editor's absence a silent rebuke. Noah, my brother, fidgeted with his napkin, his tech bro bravado gone. Derek's intel burned in my mind. Noah had leaked whispers to Apex, hinting at my hidden assets, feeding their smear campaign. I wanted to confront him, but the gala wasn't the place. Instead, I raised my glass. "To Dad's cause," I said, loud enough for nearby guests to join. The toast bought me time, but the cracks in our family were widening. As the quartet played, guests approached, praising the Cascade's elegance and my generous spirit. A school board member thanked me for a $50,000 donation I'd made anonymously last year, unaware it was mine until now. My mother's smile faltered with each accolade, her narrative of me as the lesser daughter crumbling. Megan's silence grew heavier, her earlier confidence replaced by something like shame. Noah, though, was restless, his eyes darting to Julian Voss, who lingered near the bar, his smirk a constant threat. Derek texted, "Voss is pushing staff for dirt. Noah's meeting him later." My gut twisted. Noah's betrayal wasn't just personal. It could tank my Portland deal. During dessert, Megan finally spoke, her voice brittle. "So what now, Lauren? You're the hero and I'm the villain." I leaned forward, keeping my tone even. "You twisted my help into a lie, Megan. I funded your Pulitzer because I believed in you, not to control you. Why turn it against me?" She flinched, her eyes flickering with guilt. I thought you were hiding it to seem better than me." My mother interjected, her whisper sharp. "This isn't the time, girls. People are watching." But my father shook his head. "No, Patricia. Lauren deserves answers." Noah cut in, his voice strained. "Maybe we all got it wrong, okay? Lauren, I didn't know about the donation." His deflection was weak, and I saw through it. "We'll talk about what you knew soon, Noah," I said, my eyes locking onto his. He paled, knowing I'd sniffed out his apex connection. The table fell silent, the quartet's music a thin veil over our tension. Guests nearby sensed the drama, their glances discreet but piercing. As the gala wound down, my father pulled me aside near the floral arches. "I'm proud of you, Lauren," he said, his voice thick. "I should have seen you sooner." His words hit hard, a balm for years of dismissal. I hugged him, but my eyes caught Megan lingering, her expression unreadable. She approached, hesitant. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she mumbled. You always seemed so perfect, untouchable." Her admission was raw, but I wasn't ready to absolve her. "You hurt me, Megan. Fix it with actions, not words." My mother lingered at the table, her face a mask of conflicted pride. "We need to talk, Lauren, as a family." I nodded. "We will, Mom, but on my terms." Noah slipped out early, avoiding me, likely to meet Voss. Derek was on his tail, gathering evidence. Julian Voss approached as I headed to the bar, his voice smooth. "Quite a show, Ms. Bennett. Your family's full of surprises." I smiled, steel in my eyes. "So's my legal team, Mr. Voss. Enjoy the gala." His smirk faltered, and he retreated. I slipped to my office, pouring a glass of the Romanée Conti, the monitors dark now. Derek joined me, loosening his tie. "Noah's meeting Voss in an hour. I'll get you proof." Megan's reeling. Her editor's pissed. "You okay?" I swirled the wine, the gala's highs and lows settling. Vindicated but exhausted. Megan's speech could have ruined me, and Noah's leak is feeding Apex. This isn't over. The Cascade was my fortress, but the gala had exposed its vulnerabilities. My family's betrayal, Apex's schemes. I'd won the night, but the bigger fight was just beginning. The morning after the gala, I woke in my Cascade penthouse to Seattle's gray dawn, the city's skyline muted through my windows. The ballroom below was likely being cleared of last night's champagne flutes and floral arches, but my mind replayed Megan's venomous speech, Noah's betrayal, and my father's quiet pride. Revealing I owned the Cascade Hotel Group had shifted the grounds beneath my family, but the aftershocks were just starting. I needed to protect my empire and my heart, not just from Apex Hotel's schemes, but from my family's chaos. This wasn't about gloating, it was about setting boundaries that would last. I brewed coffee and called Derek Hayes, my security chief, who'd stayed late tracking Noah's moves. "Morning, boss," he said, his voice steady. "Noah met Voss after the gala, handed over a flash drive. I'm pulling footage to confirm what's on it. Megan's editor is distancing himself. Her speech tanked her cred." I gripped my mug. "Good. Keep digging on Noah. If he's leaping to Apex, it could kill the Portland deal. And watch Voss. He's not done." Derek's chuckle was grim. "On it. How you holding up?" I sighed, ready to rewrite the rules with my family. But I need to be strategic. I booked an urgent session with Dr. Ellen Park, my therapist, who'd guided me through family wounds since I bought the Cascade. By 11 a.m., I was in her Belltown office, Puget Sound glinting outside, recounting the gala's drama. "You've claimed your power," Ellen said, her notepad resting. "But now you're navigating their reactions. What do you want from them long term?" I leaned back, the question heavy. "Respect, not guilt. I want them to see me, Lauren, the woman who built this, not the kid they ignored." Ellen nodded. "Then set clear boundaries. And decide about Noah's leak and Megan's funding. Transparency could shift the dynamic or escalate it." Megan's $20,000 donation was my ace, but Noah's Apex betrayal was a landmine. Exposing it could protect my business, but fracture us further. I'll confront Noah privately, I decided. Megan's funding stays between us for now, unless she pushes me. I need control, not chaos. Ellen helps me outline a plan. Individual meetings, firm rules, no minimization, no manipulation, and transparency about my gifts, like Noah's startup loan and my parents' Maui trip. You're not punishing them, Ellen said. You're creating space for real relationships. Back at the Cascade, Derek updated me. Footage shows Noah giving Voss a drive with your Portland deal's financials. He's jealous, thinks you're too perfect. Apex is prepping a smear piece. My blood boiled. Noah's envy had nearly cost me millions. Get me hard proof, I said. I'll handle him. My phone buzzed relentlessly. My mother's voicemails demanding explanations, Megan's texts swinging from defensive to apologetic, and a single email from my father. Lauren, I'm floored by what you've built. I owe you an apology. Ready to talk when you are. His words, raw and real, gave me hope, but I wasn't ready to reply.
That evening, I met Derek at the Cascades rooftop lounge, the city's lights flickering below. Over grilled halibut, we mapped Operation Rebuild, as he dubbed it. Start with your dad, I said. He's open. Then Noah. He needs to face his leak. Mom and Megan last. They'll fight hardest. Derek raised his glass. Smart. Noah's weak link. Guilt's eating him. Your mom's pride is her armor, and Megan's scrambling to save face. On Apex, I've got a contact pulling Voss's emails. We'll nail him. I nodded, grateful for his loyalty. Next, I'm coming clean about my gifts. Noah's $15,000 loan, the Maui trip, the donations to Dad's charity. No more shadows. Derek leaned back. You've been their silent savior, and they treated you like an extra. Why hide it so long? I swirled my wine, the question cutting deep. At first, I didn't want forced gratitude. Later, it was easier to let them believe their story than fight for their respect. He shook his head. That's done. You're setting the terms now. He was right. This was my empire, my truth, and I'd defend it. I called my attorney, Sarah Lynn, to document my gifts and ensure future dealings were transparent. My financial advisor checked my portfolio, confirming Apex's smear wouldn't hurt the Portland deal yet. Ellen's words echoed. Protect your space. As I stood on my balcony, rain misting my face, my phone lit up. Megan, can I come by tomorrow? Need to talk. I ignored it, focusing on my father first, then Noah. My mother and Megan could wait. The gala had been my opening salvo, but these boundaries were my fortress. Noah's leak and Megan's lies thought they'd break me. They didn't know I'd built the Cascade to outlast betrayal, and I was ready to prove it. The days after the gala were a tightrope walk, balancing my empire's defense against Apex hotels and my family's fractured trust. I'd spent years absorbing their dismissal, letting them cast me as the dreamer who'd never measure up. Now, with my ownership of the Cascade Hotel Group laid bare, I was done hiding. But rebuilding meant confronting each family member, and I started with the one who'd shown a crack of remorse, my father. I invited him to my Cascade office 3 days post-Gala, a crisp Seattle morning where the bays sparkled beyond my windows. He arrived early, his PR firm polish softened by a hesitant smile, his blazer carrying the weight of regret. Mia escorted him in where I'd set out coffee and his favorite Marionberry scones. Lauren, this view, he said, taking in the skyline and framed articles about my hotels. It's like I'm seeing you for the first time. I gestured to a chair. You could have seen me years ago, Dad. You chose not to. He nodded, hands clasped. I feeled you. We thought we were steering you right, safe paths like Megan's or Noah's. But we pushed you away. His honesty disarmed me. I'd braced for excuses. When I got my first management job, you asked if I was settling. When I bought the Cascade, you assumed I was broke. Megan and Noah got your faith. I got your doubt. He winced. We understood their worlds. Journalism, tech. Yours, it felt risky. I'm sorry, Lauren. The apology, raw and overdue, eased a knot in my chest. I want a real relationship, Dad, I said.
But it means respecting my life. No comparisons. He agreed, his hug lingering, a promise of change. Noah was harder. We met at a Fremont coffee shop, neutral ground, 5 days after the gala. He slouched in, his tech bro swagger gone, eyes shadowed. Laura, I screwed up, he started, stirring his espresso. I didn't mean to hurt you. I cut to the chase. You leaked my Portland deal to Apex Noah. You fed their smear because you were jealous. Why? He froze, guilt flooding his face. You were always so perfect. The hotels, the penthouse. I felt small. I leaned forward. I loaned you $15,000 for your startup, anonymously. I believed in you, and you betrayed me. He looked away, voice low. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. I nodded, not fully trusting. Prove it, Noah. No more games. It was a start. Fragile, but real. My mother and Megan were the real gauntlet. My mother showed up unannounced at the Cascade the next day, expecting instant access. Mia held firm. Ms. Bennett's booked. Shall I schedule you? My mother's fury crackled through Derek's security feed. She wasn't used to barriers. She called me. Lauren, this is absurd. I'm your mother. I kept calm. And I'm running a business, Mom. You need an appointment like anyone. After a tense silence, she agreed to meet with Dr. Park next week. It was a small win, but it set the tone. Megan arrived that afternoon, alone, requesting a tour of my sister's empire. Her shift from venom to flattery was obvious, but I humored her, showing her the rooftop lounge and ballroom. She probed, clientele, margins, her journalist's mind calculating. Then she pitched, my outlet needs gala venues. Family rates, right? I shut it down. No discounts, Megan. Business stays separate. Book like everyone else. Her smile tightened, but she nodded. As we parted, she mumbled, I didn't mean to hurt you at the gala. I studied her. Then why twist my donation into a lie? She hesitated. You were always Mom's favorite growing up. I wanted to win for once. The childhood rivalry stung, but it explained her edge. Derek's update came later. Noah's flash drive to Voss held my Portland financials. But Noah was now cooperating, offering to retract his leaks. Megan's speech sparked Apex's smear, but her editor's backlash weakened her leverage. Megan's motive was jealousy, Derek said. She saw you as Mom's golden child, not her. The revelation reframed her betrayal, not just ambition, but a wound from youth. I called Dr. Park, prepping for the family meeting. Noah's leak and Megan's motives would be front and center, but I wasn't out to destroy them, just to build something honest. Back at the Cascade, I stood in the lobby, guests bustling around me. My father's apology, Noah's guilt, Megan's confession, they were steps, not solutions. My mother's resistance loomed, but I felt ready. The gala had exposed their flaws, but these talks were carving a path to something new. Apex's threat still hung heavy, but I'd face it as I'd faced my family, with strategy, not fear. 10 days after the gala that shook my world, I sat in a minimalist conference room at Dr. Ellen Park's Belltown office, the Seattle skyline framed by floor-to-ceiling windows, Puget Sound's gray waters churning below. This family meeting was my chance to solidify the boundaries I'd fought for and forge a path forward with my parents, Thomas and Patricia, and my sister, Megan. My brother Noah had opted for a separate talk, his betrayal with Apex Hotels too fresh to face us together. Dr. Park, with her steady presence, laid out the ground rules. No interruptions, no attacks, just I statements to keep things honest. I sat across from my family, my hands calm, but my heart racing, ready to turn the gala's chaos into something real. I opened, my voice clear, cutting through years of silence. Growing up in Bellevue, I felt like a ghost in our family. You celebrated Megan's journalism awards and Noah's coding triumphs, but my love for hospitality was laughed off as a hobby. I worked 3 jobs to pay for college, while you covered Megan's Columbia tuition and Noah's startup dreams. When I shared my first management job, you pivoted to Megan's latest scoop. When I bought the Cascade, you assumed I was barely getting by. I stopped telling you about my life because your doubt hurt more than your silence. My words hung heavy, each one a brick in a wall I was finally tearing down. My mother, Patricia, sat rigid in her cream blazer, her lips a tight line, her eyes flickering with defensiveness. My father, Thomas, leaned forward, his face etched with regret, his hands clasped as if holding on to my words. Megan, in a simple black sweater, stared at the table, her usual journalist confidence replaced by something softer, guilt, maybe shame. Dr. Park's voice was gentle but firm. Patricia, how does Lauren's experience land with you?
My mother straightened, her tone clipped, like she was pitching a PR client. Lauren's painting us unfairly. We always wanted what's best for all our kids. Her hotel dreams seemed impractical, risky. We were trying to protect her, not dismiss her. Her words stung, a reflex to rewrite history, but I had expected it. My father spoke next, his voice quieter, raw. We got it wrong, Patricia. We bankrolled Megan and Noah, but left Lauren to fend for herself. I see that now. It wasn't fair. My mother's jaw tightened, her eyes darting to him, betrayed by his candor. Megan's turn came, and she hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of her sleeve. I didn't realize how much we hurt you, Lauren, she said, her voice low. I thought you were untouchable, always so independent. When I found out about your $20,000 for my Pulitzer project, I got angry. I thought you were trying to outshine me, not help me. Her admission cracked open a wound I hadn't expected. Her jealousy wasn't just about the gala, it was a lifetime of seeing me as a rival. I leaned in, keeping my tone even. I gave you that money because I believed in your story, Megan. You turned it into a lie at the gala, saying I wanted control. Why? Her eyes met mine, glistening. I was scared you'd always be better than me. Growing up, Mom always seemed to favor you, her quiet dreamer. I wanted to win, just once. The childhood rivalry she'd harbored shocked me, reframing her betrayal. My mother gasped. Megan, that's not true. I was harder on Lauren because I worried about her. Dr. Park interjected. This is where healing begins, naming the feelings behind the actions. Lauren, what about Noah? I exhaled, the weight of Noah's leak to Apex Hotels pressing on me. Noah fed my Portland deal's financials to Apex thinking it'd knock me down a peg. He's owned it and we're working through it separately, but it's part of the same pattern, assuming I'm less, using my success against me. My father's face darkened. Noah did that? My mother's hand flew to her chest. How could he? I pressed on. I've been your silent support. $20,000 for Megan, $15,000 for Noah's startup, your Maui anniversary trip, Dad's charity donations, all anonymous. I'm done hiding. I want relationships where my work, my choices are respected. My mother's composure faltered, her voice trembling. You kept all this from us, Lauren. It feels like you wanted us to look foolish. I met her gaze unflinching. I kept it quiet because every time I shared, you diminished it. It was easier to build my empire in the shadows than beg for your belief. Something shifted in her, a crack in her pride. I thought I was being practical, pushing you towards safety, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't see I was pushing you away. It wasn't a full apology, but it was a start, raw and real. My father reached for her hand, his eyes on me. You're right, Lauren. We expected Megan and Noah to shine, you to struggle. We were blind to what you built. His words, simple but heavy, landed like a balm on old wounds. Dr. Park guided us forward. Lauren, what do you need to move ahead?
I laid out my boundaries. Individual relationships, not a family unit where I'd be overshadowed. Respect for my career without comparisons. Transparency about my contributions. No more secrets. I'm open to rebuilding, I said, but I won't go back to being invisible. My father nodded, his voice firm. You deserve that, Lauren. I'm in. Megan, after a pause, spoke softly. I want to make this right. I owe you more than words. My mother hesitated, her eyes searching mine. I'd like to visit your hotels, really see what you've done, if you're willing. It was a small step, but it carried weight. I'd like that, Mom, I replied, feeling a flicker of hope. Dr. Park suggested a week to process before another session. As we stood to leave, my father hugged me tightly, whispering, I'm so proud. My mother offered a cautious nod, her eyes softer, conflicted but open. Megan lingered, then stepped forward. I'm sorry, Lauren. I'll prove it. I studied her, seeing the sister beneath the rival. Show me, Megan, I said. I'm here. Later, Derek called with a game changer. Apex's smear campaign had imploded after Noah's retraction exposed their lies, saving my Portland deal. I'd countered with a press release about my Bennett Women in Hospitality Foundation, turning their attack into my spotlight. Standing in the Cascades lobby that night, guests bustling around me, I felt the gala's wounds healing, not perfectly, but purposefully. Noah's talk loomed, but my parents and Megan were trying, and that was a foundation I could build on. The Cascade was my proof, but this meeting was my promise. A family rooted in truth, not shadows. 6 months after that unforgettable night at the Cascade Charity Gala, I stood on my penthouse balcony, Seattle's skyline glittering before me. I was 32, Lauren Bennett, owner of the Cascade Hotel Group. For the first time, I felt peace, not just from building an empire, but from healing what truly mattered. That night had been explosive. My sister Megan tried to twist my donation into manipulation. My brother Noah nearly derailed my Portland deal by leaking sensitive data to Apex Hotels. And my parents still didn't fully believe in me. But that night was a shift. Not just because I revealed I owned 6 luxury hotels, but because I stopped chasing approval and started building something deeper, a legacy rooted in truth, not revenge. In the aftermath, wounds were exposed. Megan's speech backfired as guests applauded my generosity. Noah's betrayal was caught just in time by Derek, my security chief. And the biggest shock? My parents finally saw me. Turns out, I'd quietly funded their Maui trip, Noah's startup, and Dad's nonprofit, all without recognition. When the truth came out, we had tough, necessary conversations. With help from Dr. Ellen Park, we began healing. 6 months later, it wasn't the grand gestures that mattered most, but the small, real moments that followed. My dad, Thomas, changed the most. Once skeptical of my career, he now visits regularly, no longer as a PR expert, but as a father. Over espresso in my office or dinner on the rooftop, he listens, asks, learns. I was wrong, he told me, eyes glossy. You didn't just build hotels, you built something extraordinary. At a Rotary Club event, he introduced me as my daughter, the hospitality titan. That moment, priceless. My mom, Patricia, took longer, but she's trying. She toured the Cascade, asked real questions, even took notes. When she casually mentioned, that's my Lauren's place, about my Portland hotel, it hit me. She was finally proud. She still slips, comparing me to Megan, praising her mid-chat, but she corrects herself. That effort means more than perfection. Megan and I were not there yet, but we're closer. After the gala, she started showing up differently. We've had coffee without agendas and even laughed about old fights. In November, she showed me her Pulitzer and thanked me, finally. Then in January, she published a feature in the Seattle Times about me, titled Lauren Bennett, the Soul of Seattle's Cascade. No spin, no strings. I cried reading it, not from pain, but from being seen. Noah's path back is rougher. His betrayal stung, but he worked with Derek to fix it, then pitched a hotel guest app he built himself. He said, "I want to be your brother, not your shadow." We're testing his app in Tacoma now. Trust takes time, but he's earning it. Professionally, we're soaring. Apex collapsed under their own tactics, and I secured the Portland deal. I launched the Bennett Women in Hospitality Foundation, funding 15 scholarships for future leaders. My parents, Derek, and even Megan stood with me at the launch gala. I've added 3 more hotels, with San Francisco on the horizon. Derek's now my COO, reliable, relentless, and loyal. On the personal front, I met Ethan Wells, a Seattle urban planner. Smart, grounded, and kind. He gets my drive. We grow together, he said. It's new, but it feels right. That night on the balcony, I realized revenge wasn't the endgame. Self-worth was. My legacy isn't just hotels or headlines. It's the women I've mentored, the family I've mended, and the world I've built on my terms. If you've ever been doubted by the people closest to you, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. Like, subscribe, and join me next time for more stories about turning pain into power and doubt into dominance.